Now, I know that Matchday 2 has only just started, but I feel like there's already plenty to talk about. I'm going to start off the videos this week by talking about players to buy and avoid ahead of Matchday 3. I'm going to start the video by going through the Elevenify clean sheet odds and predicted goals data. Now, just before I get into this, one thing to note is that if some of the top teams already are through after 2 games, after Matchday 2 basically, thinking of Germany, who are already through at the time of recording this one, they could be likely to rotate in Matchday 3. I mean, it makes sense. They get to rest some of their best players. They don't really have any risk lying on the game because they're kind of already through. So yeah, Germany an example, Spain if they win their second game, England, Portugal, France, they all won their openers. So if they win their second games as well, there's a chance they could rotate heavily. So the kind of players that I'd be looking to target in Matchday 3 in particular, and we'll go through these odds as well, but beyond these odds there are, I think, some other things to bear in mind. Number one is, could they be potentially rotated into their respective teams? I'll talk about some players that might be that you could go for. And secondly, do their teams still have something to play for come Matchday 3? I mean, we can all see and know the teams that do. I'm going to suggest some players from them coming up. So those are the kind of sort of picking criteria that I'd be looking at, particularly if you want to be looking to get ahead of the crowd. I think fair to say a lot of players might have had a disappointing start to this game, right? So maybe picking the odd differential here and there that not a lot of other people have could be a good way of navigating Matchday 3. Looking at the clean sheet odds then with what data we have, we've got Spain, England, Portugal and France as the top 4 teams. They're all above 40% to keep a clean sheet, with England and Spain both being above 50. Germany, we've got a 33, Belgium 31, well, you can see the rest of the teams there. I won't go through them all in detail. Right, next up we've got the predicted goals. 4 teams are sort of way out in front really. England, Portugal, Spain and France are all 2.5 predicted goals or above. We've got Germany 2.1, Belgium 2.0 and Netherlands 1.8. I'd say those are the outstanding teams. And again, what I would bear in mind is particularly these top teams I've just mentioned, the ones that are predicted to score the most goals, they could rotate heavily come Matchday 3 if they win their second fixture. So maybe picking the backup striker from these teams could be a good way to play things, because we've seen in the past Harry Kane, for example, getting rested in the 3rd matchday of World Cup 2022 when England were already through. Callum Wilson, I believe, started the game in his place. That's something we could see during Euro 2024, for example. Portugal could rest Ronaldo. Spain could rest Morata or other key players in their team. Rodri could get a rest for Spain. There could be opportunities for other players to come in, is kind of where I'm thinking. Obviously, players that still have something to play for, their respective teams still have something to play for. I'm thinking mainly at the moment of Scotland and Hungary, with what we know so far in Matchday 2 at least. Those teams need to win that game, so I imagine there's going to be goals in it. Yes, the predicted goals are not necessarily low at the moment, but these odds don't take into account the results of Matchday 2. They're not updated in the last 5 minutes, right? So that game, both teams need to win it. So both teams are going to go all out to score. So you could be looking to pick players from those teams as well. All right then, with all of what I've said in mind, I've got a few players that I think you should be considering for your team. And first up, we've got Füllkrug of Germany. I think he's going to start. Given that Germany have won their first 2 games, I think he's going to come in for Kai Havertz. He's been really good off the bench for Germany when he has come in. I really like him. He's an excellent sort of old-fashioned kind of striker with a good all-round game. He's got a great touch, a great pass, and pretty clinical with his finishing as well. He's got an excellent record for Germany, especially considering, he's used as a sub and he's got 12 goals in 18 appearances for Germany. So that's a fantastic record. I've banged on about penalty takers, liking free kick and penalty takers in my previous videos, right? I have a feeling that both Havertz and Gundogan could be rotated. Gundogan and Havertz being the 2 sort of penalty takers in contention for Germany. Füllkrug could be taking them when both of them are off the pitch, and he's only 7 million. So with all that considered, I think he's got a good chance of starting, or at least getting very good minutes in Matchday 3. And with his record, I think he could be a really nice option. All right, the next player I wanted to talk about, he's not necessarily been all that exciting this tournament so far, but Szoboszlai, you can't ignore him in my mind as an option, particularly when he's playing Scotland. and it's all to play for both teams. They both need to win that game. And like I said, I think it's going to mean that they're going to be going all out to try and score some goals. And if you were to tell me who is the most likely Hungarian player to score a goal, I'd probably say Szoboszlai. He's on penalties and free kicks, just their nation's talisman, right? And I know it's a really small sample size, but Scotland have conceded 6 goals in 2 games in this tournament so far. They did a lot better, admittedly, in matchday 2 against Switzerland. But to me, it suggests they're one of the weaker defences in the competition, right? So why wouldn't you pick the player most likely to score in a game against, for his team against a weak defence when his team has, everything to play for, they need to score goals? I think Szoboszlai could be a really good option. Now, Scott McTominay has been an absolute hero for Scotland, both in qualifying and he scored the goal against Switzerland in matchday 2. I'm not just reacting to the fact that he scored in matchday 2. I'm just reacting to the fact that, honestly, he's probably Scotland's most likely goal scorer now. Most of the goals in qualifying for Scotland came from McTominay, right? He's been an absolute hero in getting them into this tournament. And like I said with Hungary and Szoboszlai, they still have something to play for. They need to win the game, so they're going to be trying to score. And similar to Szoboszlai, me saying he's the most likely Hungarian goal scorer, I think McTominay is definitely the most likely Scotland scorer. And also, I said Scotland defence is quite weak. I actually think Hungary, based on what I've seen, it's just my eye test, I think they're probably the weakest team in this group. So again, you've got the most likely player to score for Scotland against the weakest team in the group in a game that they need to win and score goals in. So all of that combined, I think, makes McTominay an attractive option. I also really like Jordan Pickford. Now, I said that England will probably rotate their team in matchday 3, but I don't think they will rotate Jordan Pickford. England, as we saw, have one of the top clean sheet odds of any team in matchday 3. Other popular goalkeepers have been underperforming so far. I can't say that for matchday 2 because most of them haven't played yet. But thinking Lunin, who's really popular in the game, could be looking to get off him, or Castells for Belgium. If he doesn't keep a clean sheet in matchday 2, you might be looking to get rid of him as well. Clean sheet basically in nearly 50% of all the games he has played for England, which I think is undeniably a really good record. And yes, the defence in front of him could be changed up for matchday 3, but I still think with that record and how England historically have been really strong defensively in tournaments, I think he's a nice option. All right, and that's the end of the video. A bit of a quick one to get us started for the matchday 3 content. Ultimately, there's only been 3 games played, right? So I can't really report too much on the games that have been played, but I think the whole important narrative to get around for matchday 3 is picking players that still have something to play for, or picking sort of the substitute likely to be rotated options, likely to be rotated in, that is, options from the top teams that make it through early in the group stages. So if teams pick up 2 wins, they're going to rotate a bit, and it makes sense to pick some of their sort of second fiddle players. I haven't mentioned it yet, but I also really like Gonçalo Ramos of Portugal. I think if Portugal win their first 2, win in matchday 2 basically is what they need to do to win their first 2 games, right? I think Ronaldo's going to be rotated for matchday 3. I think Roberto Martinez will rest him, play Gonçalo Ramos, and I think that makes him a really nice option too. So that's the kind of mindset for me I think you need to be getting into when picking players for matchday 3. All right, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please leave me a like rating. You can subscribe to the Golden Goal channel, which should be just there on your screen. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.